Today on the Northwest Sun podcast, our very own Mayor James Ntsolela clears up some misunderstandings about contaminated water in the Matlosana area. And then our host Valencia Andrews dives deep into the dynamics of gender-based violence. Today's discussion is about status as one of the dynamics and why people stay in violent relationships and even protect their abusers. Without further ado, here's your host Valencia Andrews.
Good afternoon. Once again, I'm your host, Valencia Andrews, coming back to you at home and at your car and wherever you are in South Africa, in the whole global. We are saying to you this afternoon, as we have promised you, that we will be bringing to you your current update, your serious issues, your alert crime and all that. And we're looking right into the box today. We are having Matlosana water test negative for typhoid. And those that does not know, where is Matlosana? Matlosana is a city right in the northwest in South African country, and we find the contents of what is happening about the Matlosana water test that has negative for typhoid. It continues to say this way: the city of Matlosana has received a formal report on Friday, on the 10th of December, from the laboratory on the tested water relating to typhoid bacteria. The investigation report has confirmed that Matlosana water is clean from any bacteria or any diseases relating to typhoid. The typhoid is bacteria disease spread through contaminated food, water, or close contact. The disease, which is partly preventable by vaccinating, it is treatable and is required a medical diagnosis, and in the case of tests are often required. The city of Matlosana taken pleasure in confirming that their water is clean and has no typhoid bacteria. The public is urged once again to continue practicing hygienic safety tips by making sure that they constantly wash their hands with water or hand sanitizer before and when privating and probably preparing their food. And of course, we find the statement is been issued from the communication and marketing of the city of Matlosana. Right here, this is your news at the Northwest Sun. Current updates right here in Matlosana City at the Northwest. Stay close.
Honourable James Ntsolela, the Executive Mayor of Matlosana. As we promised that we will come back to you with regard to the outcomes of the results. We have received the results from the laboratory. We can confirm that in terms of the results, our water has no Salmonella typhus. Therefore, it means the outbreak of typhoid fever is not related to ingestion of our water. Our water would remain clean, and we urge the community that they must continue following the health protocol of washing their hands before they eat or even prepare their food, and warm up their food before they eat. They must peel their vegetables or clean them before they eat them in order to ensure that they remain healthy and avoid being infected by any other form of a bacteria. Dumela magaetso, ona ke majoro mogolo wa Matlosana. Jaaka ne re solofeditse gore re tla boela go go lona ga re fumane dipholo tsa metsi a rona mabapi le tshwaetsego e go tweng e ka tswe e le mo metsing kgotsa mo dijong, e leng gore ke Salmonella typhus, e le gore ke yona e dirang mogare wa typhoid fever. Dipholo tsa rona re di kry-ile go tswa ko laboratory, di netefaditse gore metsi a rona a phepa ga ana Salmonella typhus bacteria. A cleared metsi a rona ka moge ga re sana ketsaetsego ka gore tshwaetso e tswile ko kae. Go tutubetse gore tshwaetsego e tswile mo dijong tse batho bao ba di jileng, e se mo metsing a rona a masepala a Matlosana. Mme re tlo tswela pele re kgothaletsa batho gore ba tswele pele ka go latela the health protocols, gore pele ba ja dijo ba tlhape matsogo, le pele ba prepare dijo tsa bona, ba tlhape matsogo, ba futhumatse dijo tsa bona go netefatsa gore ba bolae megare e ka tswa e le mo dijong e ka ba etsang gore ba kule ka nako e khutshwanyana. So re a kopa tswetswe a go latele melao ya protocol ya boitshwaro ya health, so that batho ba rona ba dule ba bolosegile. Re a leboga.
Once again, you are with me, Valencia Andrews, your host, right here in the Northwest Sun. As you remember, last time we spoke about what is gender-based violence. And of course, today we are going to look deeper into exactly what are the causes of gender-based violence right here in the Northwest Sun. I believe that when we are engaging with one another, making sure that we have the relevant information, we will be able to curb against gender-based violence. Of course, we still continue with the information of the gender-based violence to make sure that we're protecting our country, we're protecting our children, we're protecting our women, we're protecting our families right here on the Northwest Sun. Remember, I said to you all the time that we educate, we motivate, we encourage for you to be restored right here in the Northwest Sun. We have spoke about what is gender-based violence. So today we are going to be looking into the examples of gender-based violence. And of course, we find most of the examples of the gender-based violence when a person is being abused sexually, when a person is being abused financially, when a person is being abused physically, when a person is being abused emotionally, and when a person is being abused verbally, and of course also some threats when a person is being threatened from time to time right here inside the Northwest Sun. When we look into one dynamics, I'm going to be checking onto one dynamic of the gender-based violence. We have actually more than 6 to 7 dynamics of gender-based violence, one of which is your status. People staying inside the relationship because of the status, others staying in an abusive relationship because of culture, others staying inside the abusive relationship because of finances, others stays inside the abusive relationship because of love. So there are so many other dynamics that we can mention right here, but today I want us to literally concentrate on the one of the status. I'm going to try and break it into pieces and give you a little bit of practical examples on this specific dynamic of gender-based violence, which is your status. I'm gonna start it this way. Let me make an example that most of the people actually are thinking that people that are being abused are people that are financially not okay, people that are probably very poor, like your vulnerable people staying in your shanties and very the places or maybe the communities that are not well up. So most of the people are actually thinking like that. So that is why, as and when we unpack the issue of the status as one of the dynamics, it is to me a very important factor, because most of the people, especially when you're looking at our professionals, our intellectuals. If I have to make an example, talking about your nurses, talking about your educators, your teachers, your attorneys, your lawyers, like your law-abiding citizens, like your police officers and all that. That is why, as and when abuse happens to them, they keep quiet, because they're now being challenged by a status to say, I am a nurse. How and I cannot be seen being abused. So I'll have to keep quiet because I'm now protecting my status. People are going to laugh at me and they feel like they are not supposed to be abused. I want to bring it to your attention that as a nurse, as a professional, as a qualified teacher, as a doctor, as an attorney, whatever the case might be, remember that when violence come to your house, when violence knock at your door, when you are being abused, it's something that happens that you didn't invite it to happen. It could be that maybe you played a role that violence can happen, maybe due to your how you acted or how you act, your conduct to your partner or something like that. But as and when it happens that it puts your life and your children and those around you and your emotions and everything into jeopardy, it's something that you don't have to live out and keep quiet about it and then decide that because you are a doctor, people are going to laugh at you, and because you are a nurse or whatever, people are going to look at you that you are not supposed to be abused. So it is time that as and when things like that, as and when abuse happen to you as a professional, you don't have to look at your status, because what you should remember, you are not only helping yourself in that particular moment as a doctor or as a nurse, as a teacher at that moment. You are not only helping yourself, but you'll be helping the very same perpetrator. Because remember, divorce is not always a solution. So what should happen, as and when you report the abuse, you are actually helping the person who is actually abusing you as well, because he might not be in good, he might not be having a knowledge of understanding that you as an individual, you have the right to live free. You have the right for freedom. You have the right to live your life in peace. And also remember now, like I say, it does not only affect you who is being abused, it also affects the perpetrator as well. And as and when you report, you are also helping him, so that at the end of the day, because when you abuse somebody, let me say now you being abused by your husband, and you are a doctor, you are a teacher, you are whatever the profession that we might come across. So as and when you keep quiet, as and when you keep quiet, it does not only affect you alone, it affects also the children. So it is very, very important that you need not to be so selfish and keep everything for yourself and say now, as I'm going to go and report, the world is going to laugh at me. And at the end of the day, you forget the pain you are causing to these children. And not only the pain you are causing to your children inside the house, but what happens is, as and when your children go out to schools, as and when your children go out to go and play with other kids outside there, they end up being affected and they become troublesome, and their behavior changes around other kids, and they end up thinking that violence is the only solution. So meaning, as and when they go to school, these children, as they go to school, they also become troublesome, and they end up undermining or disrespecting teachers, because what only runs inside their minds is violence. And elsewhere, teachers speak to them in a nice way to say you didn't do your work or whatever and whatever. What they do is, even the manner in which they respond to elders, it obviously then they even change the tone, the how they speak to teachers, and things like that. Their behavior changes, and at the end of the day, hence I'm saying, at the end of the day, then that particular child becomes an influence to other children at school as well. So look what happened. At the end of the day, this child will be then arrested at school, then the police will be called for this child, and so that is why it is important that as and when there is a case of violence happening, you don't have to look at your status, because that alone says that you are selfish. You are only thinking about yourself. Remember, there are so many other remedies. There are 3 remedies of domestic violence, whereby you have the choice to open the case, you have the choice to apply for protection order, and it's not necessarily that immediately when you report the case of domestic violence, you are saying you are divorcing, and of course maybe you are calling for arrest and all that. So every case will be treated according to its merit, but it is important that you report, so that also as and when the law enforcement, like the SAPS, as and when they come, they will be able to unlock different departments, so that your partner must be able to be called to book. And if there is a need for counseling, if there is a need for arrest, is the need for application of the protection order. If it's a need for you to do your, what you call it, you open a case, that will be done. And then you are not doing that to punish this person as well. You are only doing it to also teach him a lesson of knowing that you are a human being, and maybe to bring both of you together to even make sure that your love grows to another level. So it is very, very important. You can see that we only talking about one dynamic, which is status, where you find people not really wanting to report that case. So that is why it is very, very important that you don't have to keep quiet. If you love your partner enough, you must make sure that you keep quiet. You don't keep quiet. You will be protecting your partner's life, because at the end of the day, if he continues and you keep quiet, there will become a point where you feel like it is now gone so far that he even went to the point of hurting you physically and emotionally, and now there's no going back, but the only thing is either divorce or for him to be arrested. And remember, now when he gets arrested, what happens? Maybe he's the only one working as well, or no, let's say even if you are all, both of you working, but I mean, the children, according to the Children's Act, the children has the right to be with both their parents. So now when he goes and be arrested because of you being neglecting the situation up until you leave it to go up to so far. So it is very, very important that we know that it is within our right to protect ourselves, to protect our families, to protect our spouse. So as and when you report a case of violence, it is not the fact that you hate this person, but you love him enough to make sure. Remember, it can only be vice versa. The same applies to you as a man when you are being violated against. So you also don't have to keep quiet for a long time. Go out there and seek help. So don't be fooled by your status and think that because you are a doctor, you are a nurse, you are whatever the case you may be. So don't be fooled by the fact that when you are having a status, even if you are a person teaching the violence as well, even if you are a police officer, you have the right to go and report. So I only wanted to make that example of status. Like I told you, when we're looking into the dynamics of domestic violence, we see so many. We see your finances, you see your status, we see your culture, we see so many. So today I only wanted us to concentrate literally only on the status. You see how big it is. Like the teachers will be saying, no, I don't want the children to know that I'm being abused. I don't want this, I don't want that. But it is very important. Remember, you don't have to be selfish, because then you wouldn't be loving your children enough. You will be loving your partner enough. You wouldn't be loving yourself enough. You wouldn't be loving the society enough, because now as in whatever that is happening in your home, it goes and escalates to the school. And also from there, it does not only end at the school, it ends at the society. At the end of the day, we all are sitting with children that are that are affected by violence, and they tend to gangsterisms and all those kind of things. So it is very, very important that we stop it right where it begins, because you must remember that we are having all the different departments. Even if you are a qualified teacher, even if you are a doctor, remember you are qualified in what you are doing, what you know, but does not necessarily say that activists like us, people outside, the police outside, those ones are people that knows how to handle the cases of violence. They cannot be there to assist you. So let's love one another enough. Let's celebrate each other's expertise enough to know that I am a doctor and my knowledge ends here as I am a doctor. I know this and I know that, but I believe that the police are being appointed can be able to protect me as a citizen. So it is very, very important that we don't have to be fooled by our status and allow violence to happen, because it does not only affect you as a person who's been abused, but it affects your family, it affects the neighbors, it affects the society, it affects the schools, and it affects everybody. So I am saying to you today, we are going to stop it right here as we are continuing with the cases of gender-based violence, of course, right here in South Africa and all over the whole world. And we are saying to you once again, we educate, we motivate, we encourage for you to be restored. I believe this information will make you realize that it is not easy, it is not necessary that you keep quiet, because there is actually help outside there. And of course, each and every single department, they are out there to make sure that you receive help. Make sure that you tune in right here in the Northwest Sun. And of course, I am your host, Valencia Andrews, right here. I believe that this information will bring you light, it will bring you life, and of course, you will be then restored. And of course, I am saying to you, I'm your host, Valencia Andrews. Stay close and very bright right here in the Northwest Sun.